My chronometer call to order has happened, and I'm going to make a comment before the roll call. The Commission has just completed 2 executive sessions, the first starting at 4:45 p.m. pursuant to ORS 192.6602E to deliberate with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. That was closed, and a second executive session started at 5 pursuant to ORS 192.6602H and I to deliberate with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate personnel matters. And I'll remind everyone that this is the August 13th, 2025 regular business meeting of the Ashland Parks and Recreation Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gardner.
Present.
Commissioner Weiner.
Here.
Commissioner Bachman.
Here.
And noted that Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Lund are not here this evening.
And I will also note that 3 is a quorum, so we can hold this meeting. Approval of minutes. Without objection, any changes? Hearing none. Chair will ask for unanimous consent. Hearing no objections, we have approved the minutes for the Park Commission study session, July 2nd, 2025, Park Commission regular business meeting, July 9th, 2025. There are no additions or deletions to the agenda, which brings us to public forum, and we have, let's see, 2 people who would like to speak in public forum. I'm just looking at the topics. I think they're, as long as they pertain to parks, that is appropriate. So I'm going to call Dawn Valentini and Debbie Nusswander to the podium. And Don, Mr. Nusswander, if you would speak first, since I received your request first, and then Ms. Nusswander will follow you. And I think everything's ready for you. And you'll have 3 minutes, both of you, to speak to us, and we don't respond, as you probably know. And if you would tell us what city you reside in before you start, and repeat your name.
Okay. My name's Dawn Valentini. We've moved to Ashland in 2001, and I was a former administrator in the Ashland School District at the high school. And that's pretty much who I am. Retired since 2012. I'm here on behalf of quite a few people that use the Daniel Meyer swimming pool. It's a beautiful facility. Our summers are great, and the pool is only open 10 months this year. So that is my concern that I bring to you. It's an asset to our city. I've talked to the supervisors at the pool, and they tell me that we keep it open for a limited period of time because they go back to school and they teach. One's an EA and one's a teacher in a Montessori school. The other students, the lifeguards, they have the summers off. So what I'm doing is I'm here on behalf of quite a few swimmers. I swam this morning at 10 o'clock, and there were 6 lanes, and each lane had 3 people in them. And it was an hour and 30-minute swim. There was a gentle senior swim after that, and we checked out, and the next group came in. So I'm here to tell you I love the pool. These people love the pool. The weather's great, and it just seems to us like it's such a valuable asset to this community that we would like to have it open, not all year, and just maybe from the middle of May to the middle of September when the weather's good. And I think you would get the turnout. So that's really the gist of, I have a lot of other things I could say, but I'm not going to. You don't need my soapbox. But I'm just here on behalf of a lot of swimmers asking you to consider that we take a look at that. It's a valuable asset in the community. And I think these swimmers, one last note, I've heard the talk of Ashland needs a new pool. And I've heard that discussion, and I'm not an expert on it or well-versed in it, but it would be easier to justify a new pool if we were open more than 10 weeks a year. So that's it. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Hello, my name is Debbie Nicewander. I do outreach and advocacy for our houseless population, and I'm here to talk about the Parks Department's expulsion ordinance. Currently, one of the things that can bring about expulsion or a citation is the requirement for a dog license. And that's problematic in a lot of senses, but the city is currently restructuring and reformatting and coming up with a new ELIA expulsion ordinance. And the dog license criteria has been removed from that ordinance. So it would really be consistent if you were to remove it as well. I have a copy of the ordinance, and 9.16.015, dog license required, states that a dog under the control of its keeper must be currently licensed pursuant to the applicable rules and regulations of the county or city where the keeper of the dog resides. Well, a lot of these houseless folks are transient. They actually reside where they're at that moment. And they're here for a host of reasons. But let me also define what a keeper is, and that's under 9.16.005. And a keeper means a person who owns, harbors, or has charge, control, custody, or possession of a dog. So it doesn't necessarily mean that a dog that you're watching you can get cited for if you cannot provide proof of this license. So anyway, I submitted, a gal was in Garfield Park, and she got cited for another's dog for no dog license, and she was also expelled for 30 days on that violation in and of itself. And she was expelled from Garfield Park and the Grove. And I don't know when the Grove became a park, or I don't even know if, I know you utilize the Grove, but I don't know if, I thought it was a facility. Anyway, it's kind of weird, it's odd, and a lot of times when someone goes to the hospital in this community or is incarcerated, we take possession of their animal to free them from that cost, and the shelter is generally full, and it's becoming a problem. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for sharing your views. That's it for public forum. We have one more speaker that will speak before the item you've placed on your request. That would bring us to our consent agenda. And the items on the consent agenda are the Senior Advisory Committee meeting minutes and the Recreation Division of May 12, 2025, and the Recreation Division Advisory Committee meeting minutes of May 15th, 2025. Without objection, I will ask again for unanimous consent. So hearing none, we have approved the consent agenda. So now we're down to item 7, which is the director's report.
Thank you. For the record, Rocky Houston, Director, Ashland Parks and Recreation Department. In front of us is Garfield Park, and it is just getting closed there for the evening, so I'm sure it looks very similar to this 10 minutes ago. We'll start with the updates with the senior services. The presentation events in the last month was the Rogue Community Health Pharmacy Talk, the JCLS Tech Basics on the Android operating system. Previously, it was on the Apple operating system, the AARP driver safety course, and the annual cookout, which you see pictures here. So luckily it was a pleasant day and not 95 degrees like it was today for the ice cream feed. Environmental education, we had some partner programming. So staff has met with partners to discuss the potential of programming opportunities in our facility. So that was a fruitful conversation, and we look forward to talking more about that in the future to continue to utilize the assets we have and meet the educational needs for the community. The bid survey is underway. That's an annual event, and we had 26 species identified in July. And we refurbished the front plate on the bird call station, which makes it where you can actually read and see the birds and those elements there. We're going through a lot of sort of updating existing interpretive signs at the Nature Center right now. In golf, at the Oak Knoll, we had 1,650 rounds of golf in July and 1,213 buckets of range balls sold. That grass, now I can't even think it, practice area. Come on, Commissioner Gardner, can you help me with the right term? Thank you, driving range. Is looking good, and people are really liking it. It's already moved out to the end of our grass, so we are continuing to move that around. And the shining star, I think, is we had a 62% increase in revenue month over month, or for July year over year. So that was great news and going in the right direction. I'm stumbling on easy words tonight. Look out. Operationally, we're adding more drinks and snack options. There's new brands of golf balls, gloves, other equipment there. There's an event for the 7-Up putting tournament coming up soon. And we just keep getting great feedback and continued increase in the conditions there on the greens and on the fairways, that things are looking good. And knock on wood, we still look like we have water in the reservoir for TID to get us through September. And there was a new soda machine added down while you're hitting balls at the driving range. For our volunteers, we had 2 new volunteers helping keep the Nature Center open. So we talked about that in the past of trying to get volunteers to be there to open that facility up and allow people to continue to use it. They're there 8 hours a week. We had 41 visitors in the past 2 weeks while they were there. The demonstration garden received 63 hours of volunteerism in July there at the Nature Center. And the SOU Leadership Academy volunteered a group down there clearing weeds, filling play areas with the sand, so that whole nature play area, adding sand there and doing other elements. Recreationally, it's 100 degrees, but we're already planning for ice. So the ice rink season is being planned. That'll be coming out soon in regards to what that schedule will look like. Daniel Meyer Pool, we had 442 out of 450 spots for swim lessons filled. That's 100 more than last year. So as was said by Don, it is being well utilized while it is open. And we are working on a court reservation protocol or procedure to implement the fee and process that's been in place since 2018, I believe. The concept is to utilize 2 of the 8 courts that could be reserved, still would be available for use if they're not reserved, at both Hunter Park and at Lithia Park. And so we're looking for signage and getting those things lined up, hopefully to come back next month to review sort of that process and procedure to address some of the concerns that we're getting from some patrons on wait times and or not being able to get into the rotation. And again, to reiterate, those courts will be able to be used unless reserved, so there still will have that zero barrier access for the courts. And operationally, the lower duck pond was drained, mucked out, and new pump installed. May not have looked as good as we wanted it on July 4th, but it is looking much, much better now. As you may recall, we had a donation for that pump, and so we finally got it installed. And I believe the person who did donate the funds came through and was able to see the improvements as well over July. The July 4th was a success. We had some, I can't think of that A word, adversity. There it is. We had some adversity over the night between July 3rd and July 4th that the band shell and staff was able to fix the graffiti quickly and timely and still allow all the events to occur. And we're on top of all the issues there. The only downside to July 4th is I was told I was going to get shade in my spot all day in my table, so I didn't bring a hat or an umbrella, and I paid the consequences of not having sufficient sunscreen. It was a beautiful day. And we are continuing to supplement the irrigation during these high weather times to continue to keep the grass as green as we can, as well as we're monitoring our utilization. East Team is, if you've been to North Mountain Park, to the Senior Center, out to Oak Knoll Golf Course, or to the skate park, or you'll notice that there's new paint and a lot of dry rot repairs in those areas. So that all wrapped up in July. It took the contractor a couple more weeks than we thought, but they did a good job, and we're looking to expand to additional facilities that we have to continue to add that paint and, keep the barrier solid, keep the weather off of it to extend the useful life. And we finally, after a little bit of delay with getting the right proprietary elements, fixed the basketball hoop and backboard at Garfield Park. It was the second time it was destroyed in a very short period of time, and it appears that someone larger than the should be was hanging on the elements. So either they have a ladder or we have some very athletic community members, but they hung on it and it snapped the whole glass backboard. And so we've gone to a polycarbonate to reduce that probability from a risk of it shattering again. But that has been completed and it is in use. Didn't see anyone out there today in it, but it did shine and sparkle in the sunshine. Open space and trails. We removed several downed trees on the trails. They rebuilt 3 trail bridges at the Nature Center, and they cut brush and mowed all over, continue to try to make sure we're doing the weed abatement, high brush. And then in the boulevards, there was some herbicide spraying throughout this last month to continue to reduce the safety, improve safety by not being out in those road right-of-ways, as well as managing those weeds. Administratively, I manned the booth where I got a little too much sun on July 4th to promote the pros plan and the 2 surveys that we had out. We were able to get 201 or 211 responses on the youth and families survey. So that was a good turnout, and we had 378 responses on the community values survey. So hopefully all of the work that we did there helped. On July 11th, we hosted a Chamber of Commerce greeters event. We had 50 attendees to promote the PROS plan, as well as seek information from the business community. We have a survey that was developed for there. I don't recall the number of responses we got on that, but it wasn't as high as we'd wanted, but still we got some critical feedback. We discovered that the new building echoes a little, and so the great news is the contractor's already installed sound deadening or acoustic panels that will improve that. Still may not be perfect, but it's much better than it was during that meeting. And the fall 2025 community play guide has been revised with 4 fewer pages to reduce costs. And the great news is we have 11 new community programs this fall. So that's going to be great. We'll be slowly transitioning over the next period or two to an online version, which is what a lot of communities are doing, again, to help reduce postage costs and other costs. And that's going to be something we're looking at to continue to try to market our programs, but still kind of manage our costs. In the planning world, we just talked about, this says the 15th, but it was actually the 11th. I created a typo, though, so those just closed 2 days ago. But all of those have closed now. We have a meeting coming up on September 17th where we'll be reviewing the draft levels of support and reporting on all the information we've gathered to date to the community. The key task ahead of us is, or for that meeting, is going to be that level of service, that capital facilities plan, looking at sort of that 20-year element, and then we will be drafting the plan over the next couple months. Today, I'm hoping that we're hitting into that darker shade of green in October, more like November is when that will probably be ready, and then we'll be shooting for that adoption in the early first quarter of 2026 with the holidays and other things and making sure we've got plenty of engagement. So just in case, we're right there at that interim meeting phase. We're in the green, so we're getting closer and closer to the end. Project-wise, East Main Park, we have 100% plans under review. We have a meeting tomorrow night to kind of talk about some of those potential options in the scope of work to keep it in budget. The bid packet's under review for the Hunter Tennis Court refurbishment. That should be going out to bid soon. The Butler Perazzi Fountain, the Parks Foundation is taking that project on as a donation. As you all know, they raised over $800,000 in a short period of time and have been a key partner in moving this project forward. And we're working with them to continue to right-size the project and deliver a great fountain for the community in the near future. The Lithia Park Master Plan projects that we're working on, so the Japanese Garden ADA parking, we have construction drawings for that. We've decided to integrate that into any recommendations from the Winburn Way project. We have a meeting on that for public input and an open house on August 27th, and that'll be at the Grove at, I believe, is it 5 p.m.? 5:30 p.m. Thank you, Nancy. And then just as a reminder, the irrigation controllers, that is part of our capital budget for this year. We actually were able to get those completed last fiscal year, so those are installed and operational. With that, I'm here to answer any questions commissioners may have.
I just want to clarify that the meeting tomorrow is at the senior center.
Yes,
At what time?
5 p.m.
For anybody that hasn't already seen the listings on that. I had something else. What was it? I don't remember. So this is what I have to say is after we're done with this. So Commissioner Gardner.
Just a couple questions if I can. So the ice rink cover,
Yes.
it's probably not going to be taken down before this coming season, right?
Thank you for bringing that up, and I was remiss in updating. So we got a decision from the planning department that they amended the conditions of the conditional use permit that allows it to stay up. The condition is that we continually look for a permanent solution. and we have to get a building permit. So we're currently working with the building department side of community development on our building permit packet. So you are correct, it will not be coming down.
Great.
I'm just going to interrupt 1 second on that one. Could you remind us how much money we saved by leaving that up?
Yes, on an annual basis, between staff time and contracts, it's somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 in costs. And then without bringing it up and down, we actually extend the useful life of the cover by 50% as well. So by bringing it up and down, we're having to replace that cover more frequently than we should as well.
Thank you.
I have a couple more questions. So just to be clear, so this will be the last play guide that's printed, and then it'll go totally online?
We may have one more with Deputy Director Dial's not in.
Yeah.
That's where we're getting close to that ending. And right now we're working on that transition plan, but the concept is to move to a digital only publication.
So I'm just wondering, when that date comes, when we no longer provide the paper copy, if we would actually track the amount of people signing up for classes that are used to getting it in the mail, and then all of a sudden it's only online. I mean, I realize most people are transitioning to that, but
Right.
I think it would be worth noting, like if for some reason things drop off,
Right.
you know?
We've been also considering as the interim steps is printing them, but not mailing them out and
So
depositing.
just having them available somewhere.
Right, and and maybe we're putting them at the library and in our facilities and other areas, but having another way, because we're looking at all those little elements to maximize the limited marketing dollars we have.
Yeah.
But
It could be an insert to the sneak preview or something.
the supplemental things that we're looking to do in addition to that would be utilizing the sneak preview. Sneak preview. I almost got it. And buying ad space in there to do more timely advertising for some of our events. We've just started a newsletter that's going out and utilizing that as an additional tool. We've been getting a very good response rate off of the first one we did. We're just getting ready to send out the second one. And we can actually track click opens, clicking to things and signups. And so those were all encouraging elements that's led us to consider moving this forward.
And just one last, did we actually alert the community that we were extending the community values to the 15th? I've been trying to get people on, but it was originally going to end Monday, but now it's going to end this Friday.
Actually, I created an error, so it did end on Monday, not on, I had a typo there.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was the
So
11th.
so it is closed
They
now.
did close out, and we did go out and do a push in social media on that additional 2 weeks that we did provide.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much for yet another informative report. That will take us to item 8 on the agenda, which is business. And we have, first item is Pioneer Hall and Community Center rental fee.
Just for clarification, the one public comment will occur after my presentation, sir?
I'm sorry. Thank you for that reminder, which reminds me that I forgot to mention, so this needs to be in the minutes, that the executive sessions, we never take action, but we are not taking no action in this meeting also. That's for the minutes, both sessions. Okay. Yes, I would like to call up to the speaker's podium over there, Mr. Kyle Asher.
Hello again. My name is Kyle Asher. I'm a resident here in Ashland, Oregon, speaking on behalf of the use of the community center and as well as Pioneer Hall on the rates agenda that has been going on this past month. I want to voice my appreciation to being heard and moving forward with some additional changes that have been happening, and very happy in the movement that things have been going. Just want, from what I saw in the agenda meeting minutes before this that was posted online, I noticed that it was talking about needing more talk with finance on how payments and stuff was going to be happening, but the action was going to be on the actual rates that were going on with the community center as well as Pioneer Hall in the separate room. I'm hoping to see wonderful progress. As I voiced before, the rates, I'm happy with how they are. It was just a matter of implementation on charges and things like that. One thing from last week's meeting was around having to collect fees after the fact when, like, any rental agreement I've been with, whether it's through the city or things like that, have always been prepaid beforehand, getting access use to the actual facilities. So that's one of those things that raised a little question to me, and we spoke a little bit after the meeting, just like, oh, how this was done in the past. So, and I do know finance was need to be mentioned on that, so I'm not sure if that's going to be brought up today on something like that. If that's not brought up today and we're just approving fees, things like that, I myself feel happy with how the fee structure has been changed and has evolved from the original one that was presented a month ago. As for the community center, I'm hoping to look and see how the progress is going here soon. I heard some people went through the other day at a little underwhelming in terms of trying to figure out what's going on other than actually seeing it, but I'd love to see what's going on, as well as I know a lot of people in the community would be happy to help with additional input with artwork or being able to work with sound systems or things like that, because to my understanding, a lot of the stuff that was implemented 7 years ago before it got taken down has all been gutted out, from sound treatment to chairs and tables, and I'm assuming the speakers as well as soundboard and everything got removed. But I do know a lot of people that have valued that, would love to be able to help contribute to turn that into a community center as part of the community and having their input in there. I know I would, and I know other people would be happy to bring some additional elements to that to make it feel not just an industrial building, but a place that we all have a feeling in on that space. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now on to Director Houston on this item.
Thank you. So as a reminder, the situation is we're here to review the revised community center and Pioneer Hall rental rates. As you all know, the assets have been closed since 2018. We adopted some rates back in April and moved those forward to City Council as part of the miscellaneous fee book approval. They had requested that these two facilities rates be reviewed again, due to some concerns over the rates going up significantly from the previous established rates. And we've been doing a lot of work since then. Again, as a review, historically, Pioneer Hall was used maybe 3 or 4 times a week, not daily. Community Center was used 7 days a week, at least once per day. When you look at the existing approved fees for those buildings, we have a miscellaneous equipment fee of $100, which is bringing in a PowerPoint machine or something that's not already there. Electric use fee for 4 hours of $25, which is external at Pioneer Hall for utilizing those outlets on the outside of the building, and that's all that we have. Our costs of doing business are $70 to $140 for administratively to process the rental agreement. There's a cleaning cost of somewhere between $65 and $125 a day to clean the facilities. And we have a utilities estimate of $10 to $20 per day, depending upon the use that's occurring. So that's somewhere between an average fixed cost to have the just the basics there of $145 to $285 per rental. When just as a note for the community is that what you see here is what we presented last week at our study session. However, since then we got some feedback from a commissioner on a different proposal, so I will show you a different rate proposal and I'll talk more. I just want to let you know there's two considerations. So there's a little bit different than it's in the staff report. So as you note, in the green line, that is the prior rate that was when they were open, or in our fee book from 2024. So where it says null, it's because it wasn't listed or we didn't have that as a rental asset for that side room, what we're calling the side room. Otherwise, it's $23 to $35 per hour. We adopted back in April $60 to $120 an hour plus a cleaning fee, and $80 to $160 an hour plus a cleaning fee. And we hadn't considered the side room at that time. Through the several meetings that we've had and the process, we came up with a process that recognized high use level users and provided a de-escalating rate or a higher discount based off the number of rentals. So 1 to 5, it's our standard rate. 6 to 11, there's a slight reduction on the first hour, and 12 or more, there's a greater reduction on that first hour. On the weekends and holidays, there is no change to the rate. Again, for the community center, same sort of rate sheet. The difference is that it's $10 more an hour on a weekday and on the weekend for that hourly rate. And then for that little side room that we had developed just a flat fee of $25 an hour or $40 on the weekends and holidays. And then if you went to 6 or 11 or 12 or more, it dropped from 20 to 15. The revision will only be on the community center side room between the two options that we're looking at tonight. The feedback came was that I'll go back. The side room was not consistent in that first hour and trying to recoup some of those costs. So for uniformity of the rate sheets, the recommendation was to consider a higher first hour and then that reduced rate below. So as you see here, the $40, and then we've kept the same 25, 20, 15. Now that still is a little different than before. I was just trying to be as consistent as possible. Alternatively, not to throw a third option in there, but here I am doing it, would be we could lower the first hour like we did on the other ones in lieu of the second hour. I'll leave this up, but the proposed motion is to move one of these proposed rate sheets forward to City Council and as the rates outlined in option 1 or option 2. Of note, the plan is to bring this forward to Commission on September 16th at their City Council meeting for, yes. did I say-
Council, not the commission. Yeah.
Sorry. For City Council to adopt or update and adopt into the miscellaneous fee book.
So the third option you were saying was that the proposal on the second option was to increase the first hour from 25 to 40, or only $15 more, but it does recoup $15 more. That's compared to the other slide for the first line was 25, and now it's 40, which is 15 more. Which is a minor increase, but it does recover $15 more of the cost, our fixed costs. And I want to clarify at this point something that is a little confusion in the community. We use the term cost recovery to talk about partially paying our administrative costs, operating costs associated with this facility. We are not trying to recover the cost of building an asset like that or the recent repairs. So this is not a duplication of the taxes paid that funded. This is I'll just say this and you can nod yes or no. The capital cost on this was borne by the Public Works budget.
Correct.
Yeah, so we do build assets, but we didn't build these two. And so this is our cost recovery. It's a term used in the recreation business, and it means partial recovery of administrative costs on recreation programs. You'll notice there's no cost recovery on anything that's parks or trails. That's all zero entry level, no bar. Okay, so that's for the greater public. I just want to be clear on that. And then the third, but going back to this, the third option that you just brought up is that the second and third lines, we're just talking about the side room now, show a first hour of 40 and it doesn't reduce as the other two do. The other two schedules have reductions for the longer period, and we could change those 40s to 35 and back to 25 or whatever. I'm just leaving that open for whoever wants to make a motion here. That is an option. And the motion would be just to take the, I mean, I can do it, but I'd rather that I don't. The motion would be just to modify this if we want to go with option 2 rather than 1. So now I'll ask for a motion and we can clarify as we go. Or we can ask clarifying questions first.
Thank you. So have we made any headway on the idea of payment options?
No.
Okay.
I have inquired with finance. I got a response back that we would circle around on it, but we have not connected in the week.
Which, that's fine with me as far as proposing rates to move to city council. I just think that is, it's a question that definitely needs to be answered before we start renting it out, especially if people feel that they can't afford to rent it because of the high cost of leasing it for a year or something. I was thinking the other, actually you get a price reduction the more you do. So if you cut it down and say, I'm only going to rent it for 3 months at a time because that's all I can afford to pay, you'll actually end up paying more because the rates for those lesser amounts are a little bit higher.
It depends upon the volume. So if it was for 3 months and you're meeting weekly, you would still hit our gold package 12, and so you would get the lowest option for the payment, and you would just sign up for those 12 weeks at a time.
Yeah. Assuming that we can't figure something out with finance, and that's the way maybe groups would go, is there any way to lock in the next 3 months? If there's somebody that they're really going to want to use it for the whole year, they can't afford to pay the whole upfront cost. I mean, I'm just talking out loud here. Is there, so they don't get aced out of their preferred time or something like that?
Yes, we could work on putting a hold on those times, and we'd have to set up a parameter to where we'd have to a time when we'd have to release those. So that would be that's something that I've done other locations, and I believe would be applicable here.
So there might be some options even if we can't work out a deal with finance. Okay, that was my question.
Okay, open for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion if I can. So I move to adopt proposed rate structure number 2 and forward it to City Council for the rates of Pioneer Hall and Community Center as presented.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Discussion, would you like to speak to your motion?
Like I said, thank you, Chair. I just think there's I think people are coming around to that the rates are reasonable, and I just want to make sure that we make a good faith effort to eliminate any obstacles to community being able to rent the facility, and so hopefully we can work some things out, given the rate structure that seems reasonable now, but long-term rentals, upfront payment, that can be a barrier, and see if we can work something out. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiner?
Yeah, thanks. I will say, I think there was a lot of work and back and forth done on these rates, and I actually think they're quite fair. I think they're quite reasonable, and I think the structure is correct in order to recoup, to acknowledge that the cost is different for 1 hour versus multiple hours, and that's captured, I think, in that first hour's higher fee. I think while it's a pretty good jump in cost, I think when you look at 5 years of remodeling and rehab and no rate increases for a prime location, I think they're fair. I think the adjustments are appropriate. And I think it's really imperative that we figure out how to make it functional for people who want to use it for the full year to be able to access those discounted rates, but without having to pay a full year. And I think it's just critical that we do that, and because that's with safeguards, of course.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bachmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
Thank you. On to item 2 in our business section tonight is commission numbered position at large process, and that's Director Houston will introduce that one as well.
Thank you, Chair. So, as you recall, the situation is that the Park Commission directed staff to investigate changing the election process to align with what was voted in the charter change for City Council, which is an at-large model of electing versus runoffs, I think is the right term for. So we did a review with legal and the city recorder. We engaged with the county that we don't need, the Park Commission doesn't need to change the charter. They only need to take an action here in this forum to modify the Park Commissioner structure to an at-large model. This would allow the highest vote tally candidates to be elected versus a runoff by position. So, for example, if there are 3 open positions, all of the candidates would be identified and it say, please select 3. So, based on that, we are seeking a proposed motion to move to change the Park Commission positions to an at-large positions.
For election purposes, I'll just
For
maybe add
election
that to
purposes.
it. Floor is open for a motion.
I'll move to change the Parks Commission positions to an at-large positions for election purposes.
Second.
Would you like to speak to the motion?
I don't think we need to speak much. I think aligning it with how City Council is operating now, I think it makes good sense.
Commissioner Gardner? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachmann.
Yes.
All yes, motion passes.
Any items from commissioners at this point? This is number 9.
I have a couple.
Okay, Commissioner Gardner.
Actually, I meant to, so this process for the elections will be in place like within a couple months,
Yes, it'll be ready for the next election.
so next year.
And just to clarify that, it's just a matter of us doing what we just did, right? And then it goes to recorder. And
My
she
understanding
takes
is the
care-
recorder would, when they submit the next election, they would put it in this order, and that's what,
It's all
this would
changed.
activate them
Okay.
doing it that way.
Yeah, I have one item for the commission. I just wanted to acknowledge today that Director Houston and me, I, participated in a 5-hour strategic planning session for the Ashland Parks Foundation that really trying to flesh out our process going forward for I guess you could say it's a 5-year plan, so to speak, and it was really great to have the participation of Director Houston. He was helpful in us focusing our efforts. But once again, the Ashland Parks Foundation is a domestic 501c3 with our mission of supporting park and recs financially. That's not really what the mission says, but it's something along those lines. So supporting Parks and Rec and really improving the lives of citizens of Ashland. So it was a good meeting. As most of you knew, and Director Houston pointed it out, the Parks Foundation is going to hopefully be taking the lead on the Butler Parazzi Fountain replacement, and we're hoping that project's going to take off pretty soon. We have a few agreements and proposals that we need to solidify, but things are moving forward. So hope to have more information on that.
Thanks for the update. Anything? Okay. That brings us to 10 upcoming meeting dates. There's tomorrow, East Main Street Park Open House, tomorrow at 5 at the Senior Center. Winburn Way Travel Management Review Public Meeting, August 27th at the Grove at 5:30. And for those who haven't followed this, we formed a subcommittee, which includes the two gentlemen to my right, to present the full commission with some possible options on what to do with Winburn Way traffic issues. And we're coming up to the point where we'll be able to receive those, which is good. Park Commission study session September 3rd in council chambers here at 6. Park Commission regular business meeting September 10th here in council chambers, 6 o'clock. The Pros Plan second community meeting on September 17th, Senior Center, 5:30, as the director pointed out in his report. And the Park Commission study session of October 1st is canceled.
Revision.
Revision.
Nancy pointed out that it's the second week where we have the conflict with the
Oh.
ORPA conference. So we will potentially move the business meeting up to
So
October 1st.
probably we will cancel the business meeting, that
Yes.
business meeting, and hold it on the 1st. That's
Yes,
what
sir.
we would normally do. So we'll have one meeting in October, business meeting on the 1st. Thank you.
And then there'll be a joint session on October 21st.
With the council here,
Council
and
here,
that one
and
will
they'll
be,
be running it that.
and that one will be chaired by the mayor this time. I
Correct.
chaired the last one. Excellent. And unless there's anything else for the good of the group, meeting is adjourned.